Hello and welcome to this video about the definitions. Let's make it short and sweet. Okay, I'm going to keep it simple. Cost objects are just anything that we want to know the costs for. For example, for a product, it can be direct materials, direct labor. It's just an object where it costs to make it and you can measure it. Okay? So, direct costs. And then also indirect costs. Well, in an easy, economically feasible way, you can trace the costs of the cost object. Those are direct costs. And the indirect ones are the ones that you cannot. For example, direct costs could be something like direct materials, right? But labor is indirect because people usually work on many different things, and it's more difficult to find out what the cost was in terms of labor to make that product. Okay, period versus product. So the product costs are just all the costs that were used to make it. For example, the factory to manufacture, the people working on it, the lights in the factory, all that, right? Period are the rest. So like the warehouse to store all the products, yeah, that's period because that wasn't used to make the actual product. All right. Then there's some cost behaviors. There's variable costs, fixed costs, semi-fixed costs, and semi-variable costs. And let's just take a quick look at them here. Sorry, here they are. Variable costs, the total variable cost is the linear line that increases. The unitary value of the variable cost is the same. So for every unit that increases, it increases the same amount, right? The total changes. For fixed cost, the total stays the same, but for every unit, it grows less. So you have a fixed cost of, let's say, 1,000, right? So here, if you're only producing one, it's 1,000. Then you produce two, it becomes 2,000. Then 3,000. Then you produce two, and it becomes 500 each. Then you produce, yeah, well, you get the point, and so on, right? So for every product more you produce, the unitary amount falls. The semi-fixed costs are like, you could say, what are they called? Stairs, right? Because you have a machine that produces 8,000 chairs, boom, but then you need a second chair for this amount. So all of a sudden, when you produce chair number 8,000, you want to produce number 8001, you need another machine, and so on. Right? And semi-variable costs can be seen using this graph and are defined as include both a fixed and a variable component, right? Like telephone charges. Then there's avoidable and unavoidable. Remember, past unavoidable are called sunk costs, and basically they're used for decision making. We just look at the avoidable costs, not the unavoidable costs, when we're doing decision making, because the unavoidable ones are going to be there no matter what, right? And we look at this because for the avoidable cost, if we use an alternative, these costs will go away. But if we do an alternative, then the unavoidable cost will still be there. So that's why they're important. Usually, but not always. So just take this as a usual, but really don't make it like a rule, is that fixed costs are usually unavoidable. But that's not always the case. Okay? Then you have relevant and irrelevant. For relevant costs or even irrelevant revenues, it's just the expected future costs or expected future revenues. These all occur in the future and they differ among the alternative courses of action. Alright? And then we have opportunity costs, which is like the best the best alternative sacrificed, and can be measured as contribution margin lost. Okay, so if that makes sense, let me just repeat the last part. Relevant cost will change in the future, right? And irrelevance won't change. So these are directly tied in with the avoidable and unavoidable, right? All this in the future becomes this, and opportunity cost is just the contribution margin lost. Thank you.